Facing Morgan Scott in the circle for the Oregon Ducks. And we talked with Morgan Scott this week, and certainly she's excited. The transfer from UNC Greensboro and a two-time Southern Conference Pitcher of the Year there for the Spartans.
And Scott did not throw yesterday. Sokolsky got the ball. So this is her first game of the weekend, getting a chance here to really go and attack the Sooners in the circle and really set the tone.
The outer edge, you see Scott's numbers. 17th start of the season.
She does go east-west a lot, really works the upper part of the zone.
2-2. As a pitcher in the circle, given a 1-0 lead early, does that change anything with your mentality in a game like this?
It shouldn't. And especially against an Oklahoma, you've got to always play like it's a 0-0 ball game. You've got to throw your best pitches. A lot of times, pitchers will go and they'll focus on the score and really look and relax a little bit when they get the lead. You really got to throw a 0-0 ball game all the time. Throw your best pitches, best movement.
Coleman sends that one in foul territory. Coleman's energy yesterday was something we talked a little bit about during the game, but when she gets on base, it's appointment television. She's got something to say about it and fires up the rest of her teammates more times than not.
I agree, and I think it's the whole team, though. I mean, little celebrations matter, and it's everything. It's a challenge. It's winning a challenge.
Case in point. So incredible in that leadoff spot this year, hitting nearly 570. Drawing the leadoff walk, bottom of the first.
And going into this weekend, 16.4% walk percentage, leading the country. A good eye, patient, looking for their pitch, very disciplined. Again, a lot of what makes this lineup great.
Ella Parker climbs in. MVP of the Big 12 tournament, a big cut. Scott slips it right underneath the bat. Ella's approach this weekend, she told us, keep it simple. That's what it's all about for me, a calmness about her. Wise beyond her years as a first-year player from LA.
Scott getting ahead of Parker here. Really important. Parker really seeing the ball through the tournament and through the regional.
First strikeout for Morgan Scott. Coleman remains at first.
And a great straight pitch strikeout. She's going to throw in the mid-60s for Scott. East, west, and up. Again, works in that upper part of the zone. One thing she did tell us is that she's been working on an off-speed changeup and tends to throw it more in this regional. So expect to see some more off-speed.
All right, Jennings. Fair ball down the left field line. Coleman will be stopped at third by head coach, the Hall of Famer, Patty Gasso. Here come the Sooners. 14th double of the season for Jennings, 2 in scoring position just like that.
And this one driven right down the line. A curveball that just hangs a little bit up and over the plate. Jennings turns on it right on that line and right in the corner of the stadium. Allows Jennings to get all the way to second base. Coleman to third, 2 in scoring position here. Just that one out.
And Missy Lombardi out of the Oregon dugout to talk with Morgan Scott. Former Oklahoma assistant, 21 years here in Norman. After 2 years as a catcher for head coach Patty Gasso. Much to talk about along those lines today, but what's the message early here in the circle with Morgan Scott?
I think you have to have the conversation now, because with Oklahoma, especially the energy that they bring to each other, when you have a couple runners on base and you have a big hit, that's when they can really open it up. And so you've got to limit what they're doing. You've got Cassidy Pickering up, who had a heck of a day yesterday. 2 home runs and a single, 3 for 3. And you've got her up to bat with 2 runners in scoring position and a base to give. So maybe have that conversation about, do you put her on? Do you load the bases and think about what conversation you have about the rest of the lineup? Really a strategy session about how you attack it from here on out, because you've got to limit the damage that can be done here early on in the game.
Scott comes home to Pickering, the freshman from Humble, Texas. 2 homers yesterday. She was humble in our conversations afterwards, crediting her teammates. 9-0 run rule victory against Cleveland State. A big moment early. They're all big in May. We asked specifically to Morgan Scott, confidence in the changeup, you've been working on it. She said it's high. She did not hesitate in that response. We expect to see it to try to keep Oklahoma off balance.
And I think you have to introduce something that's going to keep batters off balance, especially when they're good batters. Keep them off timing. I have to say, I am a little bit surprised with the day that Pickering had yesterday, how well she's seen the ball, that they wouldn't choose to throw around her a little bit more here in this scenario with the base to give.
Space is open. That one is reached for and fouled. Now, the 2 home runs came in critical moments. It kind of opened the floodgates for OU offensively in a game that was surprisingly just a 1-run affair headed into the 4th inning. But Pickering with the start and the power. And now a full count.
Pickering batting in the 6th spot yesterday, earned her spot up in the lineup today. 4th spot.
And the payoff, sent back foul. We'll do it again. We'd love to have Jada Coleman simply mic'd up for a couple of games just to see and hear the sounds and the energy she brings to her program. 8th pitch of the AB coming up. And a battle ensuing between these two. Four straight pitches now have been fouled away by Pickering.
That is something that Patty Gasso talks a lot about, is just having good battles at the plate, win or lose them. Having good battles. Yesterday we saw Brito strike out in a scenario with bases loaded that she talked a lot about, happy that she had a good quality at bat despite the fact that she lost the battle.
As a pitcher, how frustrating is it when a batter does this 5 straight pitches? Does that get in your head?
I think sometimes you just stay in the moment. You have to stay in the moment. It's your opportunity to think about what next pitch you want to throw. In this scenario, for Scott, maybe it's that new changeup. On a 3-2, the hard part is that you can't afford to miss too much out of that plate. Sometimes it's that chess match of, do you miss off the plate because you are in the head of the batter thinking, does the batter think I'm going to throw a strike? Can I get him to chase?
3-2 again, served to left field and caught. Louchard got there. And the throw to home plate is late. We are tied at 1. Full extension, no problem for Kai Louchard in left field.
That was a heck of a catch from Kyle Louchard. This gets past her. This is 2 runs scored. She gets a glove on it and a great throw home, although it's too late to get up and make that on-target throw. Just an outstanding play. 1-run scores, ties it up. You see the energy, such a quality at bat. An outstanding job by Cassidy Pickering.
Pickering another RBI, this time via the sac fly. And here's Alyssa Brito. Senior from Cali. Started her career at Oregon. And now facing some of her former teammates down the right field line and slicing out a play.
I love that here in this first inning, we're already starting to see how this battle's going to shape up. You know, two teams that are just, to me, sticking to a game plan, seeing the pitches, putting their barrels on balls already. To be expected to me today. A lot of emotion, too.
Certainly can feel that here at Love's Field. Down the right field line, that loops down and in. Oklahoma grabs a 2-1 lead here in the first. Brito against her former team.
And this pitch on the outside corner, Brito. An outstanding job just seeing this pitch, let it come in a little bit longer and driving it to the outside, opposite side of the field. Allows Tiare Jennings to score. And you're right, to the team she used to be on now. Facing them on the opposite side of the field and allowing herself to get on base in her first at bat.
First team all Big 12, Alyssa Brito, after 1 year in Eugene in 2021. This one nubbed over to second in an easy play for Flannery. Capacity crowd, Love's Field, more than 4,000 strong expected today. Here in the Norman Regional with Jenny Ritter, I am Roy Philpott. Oklahoma, the #2 national seed, defending national champions 3 times in a row. The 2-1 advantage against Oregon. It's the Big 12 and the Pac-12 for now, before both teams move into different conferences next year, the SEC and the Big Ten. Now fireworks early off the bat of Ariel Carlson for Oregon, and then Oklahoma responds right away, as a defending champion can, with a 2 spot. Matty Gasso, the Hall of Fame head coach at Oklahoma, 7 national championships, 3 straight. Emotional week here in Norman, considering one of her best friends and former associate head coach at OU, Missy Lombardi, coaches the Ducks, and really her first trip back to Norman since departing in 2018. The media's talked a lot about it. You've seen and read a lot about it probably on social media. Katie Flannery will lead things off, the freshman from Birmingham, Alabama. Spain Park High School, all freshman team in the Pac-12 this year. Start at second base once again this weekend. Winner of this game advances to the regional final tomorrow. 2-1 the count. I think the fireworks are done in this matchup.
I don't think so either, not even close.
Nubbed over to short, and a quick strike by Jennings for out number 1.
Again, the stat that I want to remember throughout this game is that 45% of the hits that are given up by Kelly Maxwell are by leadoff hitters in each inning. So far, 0 for 2 by leadoff hitters in these innings by the Ducks. That's something that Maxwell has to be careful of. You don't want these leadoff hitters for the Ducks to get on. It's a team that uses the base path. They steal a lot.
Inside, and that clipped Daniel right near the knee. And the Ducks down with another base runner here in the second inning. Maxwell in the circle. It's interesting. She actually faced Oregon 2 times last year as a pitcher for the Cowgirls at Oklahoma State, and the numbers were absolutely dominant in those 2 games.
Yeah, and I mean, dominant. 23 strikeouts, or only 4 hits.
No walks. That's not even a ratio. You can't have a ratio when there's a 0 there.
I mean, that was control. And 6 of the 9 batters are returners this year 2 of those hits, by the way, out of the 4 came from Allie Bunker, who's no longer on this Oregon team.
Another came from Carlson.
And you have to look at that, and if you're this Oregon team, knowing what Maxwell did to you last year, and now, mind you, this was a team last year. They're better this year. They've learned more. They're more experienced. So you have to expect that they're different hitters. But you also have to concede maybe that Maxwell's going to get her strikeouts. So concede that, but also stick to your game plan and trust what you can do. And I think sometimes when you concede that fact, you know you're going to get some strikeouts. Then you aren't afraid, or you don't let that moment get too big where you say, oh man, I struck out. You know, you just accept that that's part of it, and then you go and attack your next at bat.
And the 1-2, it's softly to first. Sanders makes the catch. Sydney Sanders the start at first base today as Torres moves over to second for OU. Daniel remains at first, and here's Taya Bird. Not known for her power, but we saw that on display yesterday. Her second home run of the season coming against Boston University. 2-run shot in the second inning. That made it 3-0, and at that point it felt like Oregon was in control of that game. Slow roller to third, and there's Brito. Retire the side. Sooners coming back up to World Series in OKC for Oklahoma. And we mentioned the relationship, Patty Gasso, Missy Lombardi, longtime friends, 21 years on the OU staff for Coach Lombardi. Her first return trip this weekend here at the Norman Regional, and it has been an emotional reunion for both sides. Told us that Coach Lombardi, her imprints, her impact all over Love's Field. It's just as much her doing as it was anybody else here in Norman to get to this point, to win those national championships, and to basically construct the Taj Mahal of all softball facilities here in the United States. And I think it was a release of sorts for those two to tour this facility, and for Coach Gasso to simply say, hey, this is what you did. This is what you helped build. And we thank you for all of your contributions.
Yeah, and I think you could tell, I mean, tears streaming down her cheeks as she was saying it, and you could tell how important that moment was for her to get Coach Lombardi back here.
Torres pops it up shallow right. Wong live off for second baseman Katie Flannery for the first out. I was amazed that Missy had not been back to Norman really to check out everything that had happened at Love's Field. And obviously the season underway. This facility opened back on March 1st, 78 days ago. You see the two celebrating one of many national championships, 4 in fact, that were won with Coach Lombardi, a part of this OU staff. There's other connections we'll get into as well. Currently in Eugene.
Sydney Romero, another connection, obviously.
Former Big 12 Player of the Year.
Yeah, tremendous alumni here of OU and part of the Oregon staff.
Important inning for Morgan Scott. Ball and a strike to count.
As I say, Jada Coleman in the press conference yesterday kind of laughed and said, well, Sydney Romero, you know, help me hit. She kind of knows what
she knows how to pitch me.
She knows how to pitch me. She said she might be in my head a little bit.
Something to think about. This one in foul territory and easily grabbed by Calv. A good start here in the second for Morgan Scott after facing trouble in the first.
Yeah, a much better inning, because when you saw the top of this lineup really kind of squaring up a little bit, hitting the ball hard against Morgan Scott. This is a much better 2 quick outs, 2 pop-ups, much better 2 outs here to really start this inning. Settling in a little bit, really a better response here.
Ask how good is Oklahoma softball. You look at the number 9 hitter in Riley Boone, slashing .419 this year, and an energizer of sorts at the bottom of this batting order for a head coach, Patty Gasso. Get no moment rather to relax, face this team. And an offense, basically, Jenny, that ranks second in the country in most key categories. Some people perceive it to be a down year. You lose 6 games. Be careful with that kind of commentary in a team that's been so dominant in the middle of a dynasty run.
Well, and it's kind of a weird backhanded compliment, right? Because your expectations, if you're Oklahoma, your winning expectations after you've won 3 national championships is just higher. Losing 6 games is, dare I say, almost a failed season.
Boone up the middle and sneaks through. Riley Boone, another hit. That'll turn the order over. Go back to the top, and Jada Coleman. Riley Boone, a couple of hits yesterday, her 3rd this weekend.
And the reality of that statement, before I finish it, is it's not a failed season. As you see this replay from Riley Boone, uses the ground and drives it back up the middle, just right through the middle. And that's what Boone does so well in that 9 spot, turns the lineup around, is she's just able to drive it right back up the middle. But for OU, 6 losses is not a failed season. And for most teams, it's a very, very successful season. But when you're not used to losing 6 games, it feels like it's not as good at the season. And so it's a different expectation for a team that wins as much as they do. And when you think about differences of expectations, all of a sudden, those distractions can creep in. The expectation word, the E word, I call it a 4-letter word, like, it's a real thing when you're used to winning and when you have this goal of trying to win a 4th national championship.
Coleman bunts it to 3rd. Bird up with it quickly and in time.
Geico covers dead back.
We talked about it this week. What's it like coming back and returning home here, where you spent so many glorious years winning all those championships?
It's been great. Norman's so good to me. I went to school here. I got an opportunity to coach here. I raised my son here. It's just been wonderful.
Coach, you have 9 seniors on your team. Talk about the contribution of them to this program and the success of this team.
What they've done for us, the leadership on and off the field, the standard that they they hold up every single day.
Coach, we appreciate the time. Best of luck.
Okay, thank you.
Missy Lombardi. She has had a business-like approach, understanding the task at hand. The Topple, many would argue, is the best team in America and the team that has won 3 straight national championships. Paige Sinicki, co-defensive player of the year in the Pac-12 at shortstop. Lead things off for the Ducks, trailing 2-1. Kelly Maxwell remains in the circle for the Sooners. Sinicki made so many incredible plays yesterday in that win against Boston University. An electrifying player. Got on base a couple of times. We asked Ariel Carlson, what's it like in practice with Paige? She said the plays that she's made in games pale in comparison at times to what we've seen in practice. And a spark defensively for Oregon this year. And sometimes that translates into offense soon thereafter. Maxwell comes home. It's fouled away.
Yeah, she's just kind of one of those players that just goes all out, like 110 miles an hour, no matter what she does. And you can kind of see it in everything she does. Even offensively yesterday, I felt like we saw that. She was just all out all the time.
Popped up, right field. Easy play for Cassidy Pickering. Back to the top of the order for the Ducks.
And we talked about what Kelly Maxwell did to the Ducks last year. Those 23 Ks career in those couple games. Just 2 strikeouts so far today. And the first couple batters here, Lushar And Kauf here, the first and third batters that she faced in the lineup. Ground balls after ground ball, just one pop fly, or excuse me, two pop flies after Sinicki's just then.
Shar in the back of the box, takes up and away. Struck out in the first. Maxwell, you look at how she gets hitters out. We were examining the heat map earlier today. And it's amazing what she's able to do with the drop.
But yeah, and that's what she's been throwing a lot today. If you see, she's been hitting that inside spot, that red zone right there. That's where she hits most often. The blue zone is where she throws the rest of her pitches more often. You can see how they fall lower in that zone, but she lives kind of in that lower right-hand zone of the strike zone and drops it further. Allows for a lot of drop balls, or excuse me, ground balls, and it just makes the batter's chase a little bit lower in the zone. We'll show a heat map maybe a little bit later of a rise ball. You can see the comparison of the two that just allows for her to really get a lot of chases up in the zone and then down in the zone.
And Lou Shar lines out to Jennings at short for the second out.
And here's that rise ball that we were just talking about. If you can visualize the two together, you can see that red spot in the bottom right corner. And then you can see that rise ball in the top left, even kind of like a low rise ball that can come in as a strike.
So how does she throw that and keep it that low with the rise? That's amazing to me.
You've got to start it lower. You've got to get your hand underneath the ball and start it at a lower point in the zone to get it to jump up. Similar to that one right there. That was a good example of it. And then just get, and you can work it a little bit higher in the zone too. So if you're a batter and you're looking for rise ball spin, you have to identify, does it start low enough to finish in that strike zone, or does it start high enough to jump out of the strike zone? And then when you identify that, the question is, are you quick enough in your hands to get on top of it to drive it? Or B, is it a ball? And it's so hard when you have to identify all that when the ball's coming at you 65 miles an hour. Swing it, hit it. That's what makes Maxwell so good.
My brain hurts after listening to that, because that's what's happening internally with these hitters. I also feel like I could solve a differential equation after looking at two heat maps back to back. That was tremendous.
Things that keep me up at night, or we talk about at my dinner table. I don't know what you talk about at your dinner table, but in my family, talk about pitchers.
It's a little different. I didn't play pro baseball. My wife didn't play softball level that you did, so no.
Daughter of a pitcher, sister of a pitcher.
Yeah.
Got a lot of pitchers in our family. A lot of baseball in our family.
2-2 the count to Carlson, who has accounted for the only run of the afternoon for Oregon so far. And she hit Maxwell hard last year in those two meetings, had a double. The Oklahoma State ace at that point in time. This one sent to right field. Pickering. And a 1-2-3 frame. Bottom of the third coming.
Because for 2 weeks in June, everyone's a softball fan.
Starting in 12 days, the Women's College World Series. OKC, the place to be. The ESPN networks and also ABC. Of course, the Sooners have won 3 straight before. UCLA, FSU, Boomer again, and the Florida Gators back in 2015, Jenny.
Yeah, a lot of solid teams there. You could see a lot of these teams in the World Series again this year. Ironically, Florida State in the Super Regional that if they make it out of their seeded region, Oklahoma makes it out of theirs, we'll be facing each other in Super Regionals this year.
2 final teams we saw in the Women's College World Series last year, so you can only imagine how that could look next weekend potentially here, but work to do first for the Sooners. And here's the freshman, Ella Parker. What have you seen from Morgan Scott so far? Settled down in that second frame after some early issues in the first.
And she's got some tight spin and some good movement. And so because of that, she's been moving it differently on the plate. This is the second time through the lineup here that's really going to make a difference, as these OU batters are going to be making their mini adjustments. And so Morgan Scott is also going to have to make her adjustments.
Big cut, Parker swinging for the fences.
And Parker, who we saw in the Big 12 tournament, outstanding, 7 for 10, most outstanding player. And then yesterday went 2 for 4. We've seen her on the ball beautifully. The K on 3 straight pitches, her last at bat. And we're seeing her here behind on the count. And a couple whiffs on Morgan Scott. Maybe just the movement a little bit different than what Parker is typically used to seeing.
Sister Mia, member of the George Washington University softball program. Her uncle Dave Roberts, maybe a familiar name to those watching, current manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers. We're playing some good baseball lately. Payoff pitch hammered foul.
And you can already see the adjustments from Parker. And to me, that's, you know, you think about the freshman status that she is, and you mentioned, you know, her MO is to keep it simple, and how, to me, how mature that is for her to say, I'm just about keeping it simple. The adjustments that she's already making, fouling pitches off, so different already. Now having a much more quality at bat than what you saw her first at bat. To me, that's what Ella Parker is about. And that's what I love seeing her do at the plate. But she's just going to give herself a better chance the next time she gets out there.
Jennings in the on-deck circle, the 3-2 again. Fly ball, deep left field. And the ballpark's going to hold it barely as Luchar retreats for out number 1. Well, speaking of baseball, tomorrow's Sunday Night Baseball National League matchup, third game of 4 between Fernando Tatis Jr., the Padres, Marcell Ozuna with the Braves at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, ESPN Radio. Our coverage begins 6 Eastern. Baseball tonight. Sunday night countdown. Ella Parker had a loud out similar to that yesterday against Cleveland State. Off the bat, it sounded like it was going to exit the ballpark. And twice, Luchar able to keep it inside. Jennings, a double and a run scored. Into the game last night against CSU. 2 miles in the air. Foul territory and out of play here. First meeting between these two teams since 2018. That was just before Coach Lombardi left OU to go to Eugene. Oklahoma leads an all-time series meeting 10-6. Oregon won the last matchup. Amazing to think, too, next year, we're talking Big 12, Pac-12 now. Coach Lombardi's team this time in 2025 will be a member of the Big Ten. And Oklahoma and Texas move into the SEC.
Such a new change that you'll see in the softball world.
Isn't that an understatement? Popped up, foul territory. And Alyssa Daniel towards the second out.
I love to see the difference of like where the rivals will come from. You know, OU going into the SEC and then the Big Ten, and how that'll change, you know, who becomes a rival as those new conferences are made. My other favorite thing will be seeing some of these West Coast teams in winter jackets during the Big Ten season.
Ducks will travel to your neck of the woods in Ann Arbor. Bring your own parka.
Yep. It does get a little cold there, but
not cold here today. Sun splashing down, 89 degrees, a slight breeze. Couldn't dial it up any better. First pitch strike delivered to Cassidy Pickering. There was a 12-pitch at batter first time up, resulting in a sacrifice fly. Great play made in left field by Luchar. been surreal moments last couple of weeks as the Pac-12 wrapped up its tournament championship. Teams bolting to the ACC, Big Ten, and the Big 12. Cut on and miss, and the strikeout for Scott. That'll be her second. And Gasso, the Hall of Fame coach, here number 30 here with the Sooners, joins us right now. And Coach, what have you seen so far from Kelly Maxwell in the circle today?
They put a good swing on the home run for sure. It was not a bad pitch, really. It was off speed, but she's in good command and working ahead in the count, coming back when she's behind in the count, getting ground balls or fly balls that we can make plays on.
Coach, we spoke to you earlier in the week, and you got a little emotional with us about Melissa Lombardi coming back to OU and being able to see Love's Field. Talk to us a little bit about how special this moment is for you.
It's always great to see her, but I haven't seen her in Norman since she left. So to be able to show her and Sid Romero this new stadium, Melissa has been by my side for 20 years, so it's a big deal for me. It was a big deal for her, so it's a good connection. And I think it's awesome that we're both still coaching, especially me. So it was a good moment for us.
Coach, thank you for spending time. We appreciate it. Patty Gasso. Search of national championship number 4 in a row. Great question by you, Jenny. And you could hear the emotion in her voice looking across the way and seeing her good friend and Oregon head coach, Missy Lombardi.
I think she got emotional again there, yeah. It's definitely very special to her. And again, you spend that much of your time with somebody, there's no doubt about it that, you know, when you build a program with somebody, you get it to this point where you win that much. It's built on 2 minds, not just one.
And McAuliffe 0 for 1. Struck out in the first. Fifth-year senior from Lincoln, Nebraska. Transferred from Georgia Tech. 3-time All-ACC performer in Atlanta. Ducks have some work to do, trailing just 2-1. Only run coming off the strength of an Ariel Carlson home run. That was in the first. Maxwell delivers a strike.
You can see that drop ball low in the zone. Again, go back and reference that heat map where that ball starts in that red spot and drops lower in that zone. You could see it on that pitch. Just starts at the knees and drops lower. And as a pitcher, you have to think, you can look at that and say, oh, it might be low, but it's not. It's where it crosses home plate, right? It's where it crosses the batter's knees. And all it has to do is just graze the top of the knees. Doesn't have to be the whole ball over the knees, just the top of the ball. Over the top of the knees. It was always my favorite pitch to throw, and it was because you can keep it so low in the zone. Get those ground outs. Let your defense do the work. Keep the ball in the park. I mean, it's hard to hit a drop ball that low out of the park.
And the payoff is fouled away. Elimination game coming up after this contest concludes. Boston University, Cleveland State on ESPN+. Loser of this game will meet the winner of that contest later today. Calf over to short. Jennings fields and fires.
And when you're facing a drop ball pitcher as a hitter, you've got to stay in your legs a little bit. A lot of times you see a drop ball and you tend to top it a little bit. You stay a little bit deeper in your legs, look to drive the middle of the ball. You're going to make your adjustments and think lower, right at the bottom of the ball. Over-exaggerate that thought. See the ball a little bit lower.
Now Wong, her 7th home run of the season yesterday. You mentioned it takes two to build a stadium like this. The one component in our conversations with Coach Gasso this week kind of caught me off guard is her ability to designate leadership to other personalities. And it's not just her assistant coaches, her analysts. It goes on down the line to sports psychologists. There are an arsenal of support staff members here in Norman ready to assist, and she is completely comfortable designating those different parts of her program and the leadership for those respective departments to others. And we asked her, how do you recharge each and every offseason, knowing the pressure that's coming back and returning, trying to win another national championship? And a big part of that was allowing others to simply do their work and not to micromanage as a head coach. And I think that's helped her longevity. And longevity still winning at the highest of levels that we've seen.
Yeah, and she spends a lot of time, too, talking about, you know, this team specifically, saying, hey, I don't need to tell them what they have to do. They know what they have to do. And you know, even so much as yesterday, you know, in our mid-game conference, she said, I don't have to give them a message. It's about action. It's about doing what they have to do. And for each person, sometimes it's just about mental maturity.
2-2, deep right field, drifting back at the wall, and a catch made by Pickering. A very loud second out here in the top of the fourth. We've seen a couple of balls hit the heart of the warning track for both sides today.
Yeah, I mean, half of the battle is just getting your barrel on the ball, and if you can start putting the ball deep, that's part of it. But Maxwell, again, that's just a long out for her. And to your point on conversations and hearing what people have to say, and like Patty Gasso, when she answered your question in the mid-game conference and you said, you know, what do you like about what you're seeing from Kelly Maxwell? She was not thrilled about that ball that Ariel Carlson barreled up, and you could hear it in her voice. And you know, when you talk about it's about action, it's about they know what they have to do. Well, the expectation for what Kelly Maxwell does in a game is not about letting somebody barrel up a ball that well. Bottom line is that is what Patty Gasso expects more from Kelly Maxwell from. And you know, this game could end 2-1, and it might not matter that she gave up that home run, but in the end, if you want to win your 4th national championship, you can't give up a long ball like that. So it's about being better every single day, and that means don't miss a pitch like that. It's about being better about little things like that, little details.
Flannery stays alive.
Really well, Maxwell has not given up, you know, another long ball. She really has gotten better this game, but you really got to give the Ducks credit. She also hasn't gotten a strikeout since that first inning. And this is a pitcher that is a strikeout pitcher. And so if you're the Ducks and you can limit the amount of whiffs, the amount of strikeouts that you are giving up, I mean, that's huge. That is a success in its own. Now the step is, how do you stop giving up weak hits? Because that's really what the Ducks have been doing. Weak ground balls over and over again, weak pop flies. You haven't had a lot of solid, good, barreled up hits, and that's really where the Ducks need to make their adjustments. Not just put the ball in play, but now put the ball in play and hit it hard.
Now Maxwell has been dealing with expectations since the very beginning. Her first game Oklahoma State was a perfect game against Florida A&M right before COVID, way back in 2020. At the win of the Big 12 championship against Texas. And that was the other component, what Coach Gasso has mentioned to us several different times this past week. She feels like they are playing their best softball right now. And the win against Texas in the Big 12 championship Kind of moves past what happened in the regular season in this series against the Longhorns. He puts Bedlam in the rearview mirror a little bit more. Flannery offers, and the third strikeout in the books for Kellyton University, 8-0. Now back in the circle. Morgan Scott probably gave Coach Lombardi everything that she could ask for in this matchup, right? Cue ball over to second. Nice play by Katie Flannery.
Yeah, and Elisa Kolsky yesterday was stellar. I thought she was phenomenal in the 5 innings she pitched yesterday. She did a really outstanding job mixing her pitches. And to your point, Morgan Scott, I thought she did a great job. I think she answered back in the next couple innings. This could have been a planned split in this game. This is also a Ducks team that uses their pitching staff. This is not a team that generally has a pitcher that goes a full game. Kolsky, to that point, did throw the entire game yesterday.
And it's not uncommon for Coach Lombardi to bring in 2, 3, multiple pitchers off speed on the inside corner. And looking back is Kinsey Hansen.
Well, and why not when you have a staff that, you know, kind of is all a little bit different. They all give you a little bit different look. Mix them up.
Taylor Spencer, another prominent member in that Ducks bullpen. Speaking of last year, it was Kinsey Hansen that hit the mammoth shot against Clemson, trailing 7-4 late. Out of their final out. Hansen absolutely clutch in that run to the 3rd national championship in a row. Catcher for OU, Defensive Player of the Year in the Pac-12, or the Big 12 rather. You gotta watch me on those conferences because it's easy to talk about one team in one league and understanding like in 2 months, not gonna be in that league anymore.
A whole new world.
It's one way to frame it. 2-2, lined into center field, right past Sinicki. And with one away, Kinsey Hansen now standing at first.
Hansen just so solid at hitting frozen ropes. This one of them sees this pitch on the inside and turns on it well, really low and in. Hansen just really finds a way. Get her barrel on that ball. Hit the sweet spot, drive it back up the middle.
Loves Field ready to spring to life once again. Torres takes outside. Mention the capacity here. 3,200 fans. It's the highest for an on-campus softball facility in America. Tapped over to third. Force out, not there at second. They do get the out at first. Well, on the toss, Flannery waved past second base, so no double play, but there are 2 outs.
Yeah, not usual that you typically see. You don't get the lead runner, but you do get the runner at first. A ground ball on an off speed, not the runner, the lead runner, but they do get Torres at first base. Kinsey Hansen does make it all the way to second base.
The ruling on the field was the runner was safe at second base. Oregon is challenging the call. The previous play is under further review.
There will be a challenge to check to see if Hansen is safe at second base. I think a smart time for Missy Lombardi to go and take a look at this. You have the challenges. Why not take a look?
It was a quick call by Smokey Eds, the second base umpire. You heard from Marty Abazishan there, indicating the replay was coming. We'll have a look.
I think on that look, it looked, you see, you got to look for the squeeze of the glove. Call on the field was safe. Take a look at the foot of Hansen. You got to look for the cleat to touch that bag and the squeeze of the glove. And right there, I think this is an out. I think they got a double play here, right?
Is that indisputable? And gals have been working very hard, nearly 90 degrees.
After review, the ruling on the field is upheld. The runner is safe. That is Oregon's first challenge of the game.
Yeah, and kind of one of those unfortunate things, because if Flannery was able to just keep her foot on the bag that touch longer, I think he kind of had a chance to maybe get that double play, because I think there was time to get Torres, because she was definitely out there at first base. There was plenty of time to get her out at first.
And Jenny, a championship team like Oklahoma, they're playing their best softball. Yep. This is where they make you pay.
Yeah, yeah. You're right. You're absolutely right. You want to get the double play there because you don't want that runner on, and now you got a runner in scoring position. You do have 2 outs, though, if you're the Ducks. And the benefit there is that you did get an out. It wasn't like you went for the lead runner and didn't get an out on it.
Sydney Sanders, high and tight, ball 2. To start at first base today. Junior from San Marcos, California. Started her career at Arizona State, the Pac-12. Part of that conference's all-freshman team in 2022. And here comes Missy Lombardi. Hey, we remind you, don't miss a minute of the action from the NCAA Softball Regionals. We'll take you to the best live action. The 7 innings live show on the ESPN app. You can see every game, every big moment on the road to the Women's College World Series. Only the ESPN networks. They have been having fun in the studio, visiting the different sites around the country and checking in as saw some upsets yesterday. St. Mary's and Stanford last night. What a game that ended up being in Palo Alto. And Stanford University, 8-6 the final score. More action today, upsets today. I'm not going to reveal the upset that you suggested before we came on the air. You think that USC Upstate, actually I will reveal it. USC Upstate has a chance to maybe do something against team from the ACC and the Clemson Tigers.
Listen, have you seen UFC Upstate play? They're scrappy.
Anders hammers that one into the heart of the net.
And the team's already been upset once. I just checked the score. Clemson's up.
I had not seen the score, for the record.
Other upsets around the country, for the record.
Plenty. Southern Illinois made some noise yesterday against Cal. Southeastern Louisiana in the Clemson game, and we mentioned yesterday, Cal has bounced back today in a big way. 3 balls and a strike. All of a sudden, an important moment in this one. 1-run game. Upstairs for ball 4. Sanders issue the free pass.
And to your point, this is where you kind of let Oklahoma in if you're not careful. Morgan Scott, I feel like in the circle was really kind of gaining control. You change the pitcher up again, maybe a controlled split or an expected split. You put a new pitcher in, you have that review, kind of breaks the momentum up. This is where, if you're the Ducks, you've got to be careful. You can't allow Oklahoma to celebrate the little things, build that momentum, and make something happen here.
Activity in the Oregon bullpen. Riley Boone up to bat. 3 hits in the weekend so far. And well over 400 this season. Upstairs for ball 2. Boone taps that one foul. You can feel the energy in this crowd. Just ready. Get out of their seats. Hot blazing sun and celebrate another Sooner run. Sapolsky with other ideas. Serve to short. Paige Sinicki. And that's what the defense
blows up this stadium. I mean, we were just talking about it at the break. The way the fans would have gone crazy for the Sooners in that moment, I mean, it could have changed the momentum of this game in a huge way. And Sinicky just doing what Sinicky does best, you know, co-defensive player of the year. Makes me wonder why she was co-defensive player of the year, by the way. You know, I mean, she's just so good. She's so good.
Jenny Ritter,
I could have
Roy
watched that over and over and over again.
We could watch it a million times. Many plays like that she's been able to execute this year. The question is, can a spark like that on defense resonate offensively, maybe to help you out at the plate and provide some mojo?
Yeah, likewise, the fact that it limited that kind of momentum for Oklahoma, it's got to build that on the Oregon side. They've got to take that and run with it right here. Offensively, they've got to put something in play. They've got to put a leadoff runner on here. Find a way to put one in scoring position and make something happen. Tie this ball game up, whatever it may be. Really find something to build on.
Ducks with just one hit in this game, a solo shot by Ariel Carlson. The strikeout here by Daniel. And the fourth of this game by Maxwell.
And Maxwell getting 2 Ks here. That's that off-speed drop that just kind of falls lower in the zone. You can see Daniel just out on her front foot, just not seeing the change in speed there.
Nothing in 2 to Humphreys. Reached twice yesterday in the win against BU. Pitch number 70 for Maxwell is fouled away. Maxwell has retired now 12 of the last 13 since the Carlson home run. He's been unhittable.
Maxwell ahead again on Humphreys. As soon as she gets ahead, Ducks, the only hit they've gotten has been Carlson's home run. Another strikeout here.
Now the drop change for Kelly Maxwell is incredible in that arsenal for her this year.
And you can see how it moves, just drops in the zone. When it drops, that is her best. Sometimes it curves a little bit, but when it drops, that is her bread and butter. This was the rise ball up in the zone for the K. The one before it, the drop change that just kind of moves and falls out of the zone. We've seen 3 Ks from Maxwell, her last 3 strikeouts. That drop ball, again, you can see it as it moves out of the zone. So difficult to hit. She can just be so good as it moves again and just cuts as it hits the corner of that strike zone and then moves.
Ducks without a base runner since back in the 2nd inning. Kelly Maxwell quickly becoming the story here.
And keep in mind, only 2 strikeouts in the 1st inning. Hadn't had any for a while, and then now has struck out the last 3 batters.
5 total, looking for number 6, nothing in 2.
And the movement's starting to get better. You're starting to see more swing throughs from the Ducks. This is kind of more textbook Kelly Maxwell. We hadn't seen this in the 2nd and 3rd and 4th inning. A lot more ground balls, a lot more pop flies. Now we're starting to see more swing throughs, more strikeouts.
And gas on that pitch out of the zone. Good take by Bird. Bird with the home run yesterday. 2-2.
Good battle by Bird. Stay in the moment. More Maxwell mixes that off-speed drop, though, as you get in the later parts of the game. The harder it is to really adjust to the mixes of speeds. I think that's really the difference we've seen here as these innings have gone on, is the increase in the off-speed.
Maxwell strikes out the side. They're back and ready to roll to see if Oklahoma can win its 4th title in a row. Beautiful downtown. Jenny Ritter, Roy Philpott here at Loves Field this afternoon. Oklahoma, the number 2 national seed, leading Oregon 2-1. Bottom of the 5th inning. And the top of the order will lead things off. Coleman, Parker, and Jennings. Sapolsky remains in the circle for the Ducks.
And yesterday, this is where Oklahoma got a little bit dangerous. 3rd time through that lineup, 3rd time making adjustments. This is where we saw them really come alive against Cleveland State.
Credit Oregon. This hostile environment, battling OU. Every pitch, every AB. At times, if you're not careful, it still feels like Oklahoma is up by more than a run, but this game remains close.
Yeah, there have been moments where you felt like the energy was really in Oklahoma's favor, but Oregon really got the outs when they needed them. And I really think that's the answer to keeping such a good team at bay, is not allowing them to capitalize on that energy that they build. They're great at building energy, but if you limit what they're doing, you take your mid-game breaks or your conversations or your conferences where you need them to not allow them to build that momentum, that can really break it up enough to get those outs.
Tap back, Sapolsky fields it cleanly over to first and not in time. But she makes magic happen when you least expect it.
That was a high hop ball that you knew how slow it bounced to Sapolsky. This was going to be a close play. Definitely that foot getting in there. And you're right, that energy that Jada Coleman brings. Got herself on first base, a leadoff runner here for OU. Parker takes outside. Talking with Patty Gasso, she said it's Jada Coleman that has one of the big personalities on this team. And I think under the surface, behind the scenes earlier this year, all of those personalities coming together in a little bit of a different role this year. Took some time for everybody to get on the same page. With Coach Gasso reiterating to us multiple times, we're playing our best ball right now. I think she likes her chances moving forward. Let's see here. Parker 0 for 2. Great pitch by Sapolsky on that inside corner against Parker. Checks her swing, but doesn't allow her to really think about extending her hands. If you're going to keep something on the inside corner there, that's where you want to leave it. Keep it tight to a lefty.
Runner goes, the throw down to second in time. Kauf catches Coleman. And how big was that?
Absolutely huge. Parker does a swing through here to protect Coleman. Coleman's gonna be aggressive, you know it. Ooh. This is a closer tag than you think. The tag looked a little late. Coleman's hand looked like it got in maybe a little bit.
Parker rounds it over to first. Nobody covering. Flannery tried to get there in a hurry. It was fielded by Daniel. And Parker now sitting at first base.
Yeah, just one swing later. Sometimes aggressiveness gets you, sometimes it doesn't, if you think about it that way. You could have 2 runners on if you're OU. Scenario here, benefit for the Ducks. And you talked about, you know, sometimes this feels like the game could be a little bit different of a score, but it's close because of moments like that where Oregon tends to kind of come through big defensively. A diving play by Sinicki, that throw out right there by Kauf behind the plate. I mean, big defensive moments that have kept this game close, where they haven't allowed Oklahoma to really break through. Kept that game close.
Brief conversation in the circle. Parker, the single to first base, and here's Tiare Jennings. 1 for 2, the home run last night that ended it against Cleveland State. 20 home runs on this season. Excuse me, swing. Said nothing and 1, and it was last night. Cleveland State on the ropes, and Jennings said that'll be all she wrote.
Yeah, that home run, a no-doubter. 2-run home run, only needed 1 to end the game, but off that bat, no doubt about that home run.
Hammered, deep left field. Jennings does it again.
There's just something about Tiare Jennings. Finds a way to get it done. A pitch in the upper part of the zone, sees it and sends it. This is in the upper deck of the stadium stands in the left field. She sees it and sends it. 2-run home run score. I thought this was interesting, Roy, that Sydney Romero went out there in that conference ahead of the Tiare Jennings home run, maybe having a conversation with Sokolsky about how to throw her, maybe having a little bit of knowledge about what Jennings hits. And even in that scenario, Jennings still found a way to hit it over the fence.
Little gamesmanship advantage OU in that scenario. I agree with you. What a moment that was, and what a regional Tiare Jennings is having for the Sooners. And Missy Lombardi back to the bullpen. Going to make the call now. Bottom of the 5th inning. Here come the Sooners, 4-1. Tell you about the new Oregon pitcher when we come back.
Welcome to Fandom 101. Witness the greatest collegiate athletes in the sand. Your path to fan mastery begins here. It's all part of the curriculum. The NCAA Beach Volleyball Championships, May in Gulf Shores, Alabama. Attendance is encouraged. Passion.
Jennings, 21st home run of the season moments ago, a 2-run jack. Now a 4-1 lead. Jenny Ritter, Roy Philpott, Taylor Spencer, the new pitcher in the circle for the Ducks, the talented freshman from California.
And again, we knew this is an Oregon Duck team that's going to use their staff. The expectation to see more than 1 pitcher, likely more than 2 pitchers in this game, was probably something we knew would happen.
Stadium takes a deep breath inside. Cassidy Pickering. Sokolsky coming in with 4 hits in an inning and a third. There's 2 runs off the bat of Jennings. Sooners come at you fast.
And it is, to me, I feel like it's something that the 3rd time through they've seen a couple at bats, and regardless of whether they see a new pitcher, they've been able to get adjustments. A couple live at bats has allowed them to really connect, get in the moment, and drive pitches. Tiare Jennings put a couple more runs on the board here in the 5th. We saw that a little bit yesterday, just more runs on the board in the 5th.
3-1. Ducks still only with one hit in this game. Came in the first inning. The Kelly Maxwell show since. Pickering aboard. Second walk of the inning issued by Oregon pitching.
And the free passes are something that if you come in a game and in relief, the first thing you want to do is really go and find a way to get an out. This is a team and a defense that, you know, especially when a big home run is given up and that lead is expanded on a game that you really need to stay close, you really want to come in and shut it down as a pitcher. It's something that in relief, that is your expectation to go in and try to make happen. So for Spencer right here, the key right now is just to work, try to get a double play with this defense. You've got a shortstop like Sinicki. Try to make that happen. Utilize her as best as possible.
Alyssa Brito 1 for 2, the former Oregon Duck. Drove in a run in the first inning. Only season in Eugene, hit nearly 300 with 10 home runs, 35 driven in. He's the starting shortstop for head coach Missy Lombardi. Entered the transfer portal and then quickly decided on OU. Had played high school ball with several of her current teammates in Norman. Wasn't that hard of a decision at that point in time. Enter the weekend second on the team, batting average. Win this game, you are in the driver's seat. The percentages suggest it's not a lock, but it is very difficult to unseat a team that starts 2-0 in a regional anywhere, but especially here at Loves Field. And furthermore, whoever loses this game, got to fight your way back out another game later tonight against the winner of Boston University and Cleveland State. You got to find a way to beat the Sooners potentially twice tomorrow if the Ducks end up losing this contest. 3-2.
A lot of pitches here already on 2 batters for Spencer. Got to be careful in this situation not to get behind on these OU batters. That just plays into their advantage. They are patient hitters. They are going to work the count deep, foul off pitches they don't like. Brito here fouling off a couple pitches she hasn't liked, but for Spencer, you've got to bring pitches close enough for weaker hits. Allow this defense to do the work. If some free passes are going to be issued, that's where you've got to be careful and not allow this to get away.
Hannah Core, the pinch runner at first base.
Brito's had a ton of good quality at-bats so far this regional. Worked a lot of counts deep. Seen a lot of great pitches.
Smacked over to Sinicki at short. Unable to get the force at second. Everybody's safe.
Brito puts the ball in place. Sinicki really didn't have a chance. This one pulls her way back deep into the 5-6 hole, and because of that, she has no chance but to try to make that play at second base. 4-2 quick. Gets in there, and by then it's way too late to try to make the play there at first base on Brito as well. So now 2 runners safe. Just that one out.
Ford second, Rito at first. Second hit of the game against her former team, Oregon Ducks. And here's Kinsey Hansen.
Curveball just missing too far off the plate. An Oklahoma team that does not chase that much. .2% chase percentage.
While we have a moment, we remind you, Caitlin Clark, the Fever, highlight our ESPN WNBA matchup Monday. Rematch of Tuesday's opening night contest. It's the Sun. Don't forget, Caitlin Clark trying to get off to a faster start than what we've seen in the first couple of games. Defense was legit that night. Coverage starts 7 Eastern. Meeting in the circle. To a quick close and a strike delivered by Spencer. You mentioned the chase percentage. How about Oklahoma facing a 2-strike count today as a team has now fouled off 13 pitches. Fly ball right field. Ballpark's going to hold it. Now Wong has it. Lead runner will tag, and now Hannah Cork at third base.
Just one runner advancing for an out. You got those 2 outs now. And that's key to get a second out for Spencer. Again, going back to that chase percentage, the other part, that swing percentage is 37.3% swing percentage. Which is really the explanation of that. 63rd in the field. They are the second least swinging team in the field of this regional, which means that they swing the least amount almost, except for one other team in this entire regional. They're that patient. So between that and the fact that they don't chase, you have to bring your pitches close enough to that zone that you have to give them something to attack and look to miss it. So it's got to move well enough.
Avery Hodge, the pinch hitter. 0-1. Hodge started yesterday at second base, 288 on the year. Sophomore from Richmond, Texas. Sooners trying to extend their advantage. Runners at the corners. 2 outs. Close call. Inside.
And those last 2 pitches just missing the zone too much for Torres to look to bite.
Two and two. Marathon frame here in the bottom of the 5th.
See the Hannah name on the bill, Spencer's bill.
Fly ball right field. Wong retreats on the run and makes the grab.
Has gotten better and better as the game's gone on. 4 strikeouts her last 4 batters. Her movement's gotten better. Her pitches have gotten better. She's had no walks, just that 1 hit, but it was that home run and really retired the last 11 batters faced. She has just gotten stronger and really ultimately is stronger as the game goes on.
Sinicki bunts it to third. Brito is there. And they're going to call that a foul ball.
The ruling on the field is the ball hit the batter in the batter's box. Foul ball.
So the ball hit the batter, Sinicki, in the box. You can see it going off the barrel and then hitting the knee of Sinicki as her foot is in the box. It hits her before her other foot, before her back foot. Her right foot lands out of the box, so she remains in the box. That's a foul ball. Had that right foot landed before that ball hit it. If it landed, she would have been out of the box, and then she would have been out. So new life for Sinicki here.
Ducks in rally mode. In her half, knee high, and dropped across beautifully for the strikeout for Maxwell. That is 5 in a row retired via the strikeout for 28 in crimson and cream.
And looking too as this cuts across the plate right on the inside corner. My favorite pitch when you get it right at the knees.
I hear
Batters
the joy in
think,
your voice there.
Oh, I love it. Batters think it's way too close to the knees, and it's really just cutting right at. Oh, I love it.
It's two-time first-team All-American Jenny Ritter won a national championship at Michigan. And a joy in the circle. Well, on top of some of the numbers Maxwell has put up today, consider the fact Oklahoma pitching in this regional for 11 1/3 innings, 17 strikeouts. Sooners have yet to issue a free pass, no walks. And neither Cleveland State or Oregon have had a runner in scoring position in either game thus far.
And I'll tell you one thing that brings me more joy than an inside strike. No walks. And no walks in 2 games. 3 different pitchers for Oklahoma. May, who threw the majority of the innings yesterday. Keeney came in the last inning. No walks amongst them. None for Maxwell today.
Luchar lines out. Jennings at short was playing near the line at third.
The second time that defensive shift has been perfect. Jennings standing in the absolute perfect spot to catch 2 liners for Luchar in the exact same spot.
And Kai Luchar told us yesterday, 2 days ago rather, that shift has been employed by multiple teams in the Pac-12 this year. Arizona did it, Utah did it. She was waiting for it. We saw OU working on that before this game got started more than 2 hours ago. And here's Carlson. Well, she would be the one player in this lineup to ignite a rally.
And obviously Luchar's intent is either to pop it over the head of the infield or use the ground and get a high hopper. Both of those times, though, taking the pitch and lining it. She's not executed the way she intended.
You have tuned in, expecting to see Virginia Tech and UCLA. And that game underway on ESPN News. We'll get you out to Westwood. We are done in Norman. Ducks out of the Pac-12. One and done in the Pac-12 tournament, the last ever Pac-12 tournament. Going to push every button imaginable to try to get back in this one. Carlson on some high heat.
And the movement superior. Starting to move so much better than early on in the game. Jumping up in the zone.
Carlson, fly ball right center, playable. Coleman gives way to Core. And the 4th consecutive.
A softball regionals are presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
The team of big personalities flexing on a Saturday here in Norman, Oklahoma, home of the Sooners. 4-1 our score. Jenny Ritter, Roy Philpott here at Loves Field. Only run of the game for the Ducks, a solo shot off the bat of Ariel Carlson. That came way back in the first. Since then, all, and I repeat, all Kelly Maxwell.
Yeah, all Kelly Maxwell has been on fire. 7 Ks. Tired those last 14 batters faced getting stronger and stronger as the innings have gone on. And unfortunately for the Ducks, I think the movement has gotten better and has been harder for them to make their adjustments.
Pinch hitter is Quincy Lilio. 30 ABs this season. Taylor Spencer remains in the circle for the Oregon Ducks. A reminder, Virginia Tech, UCLA coming up on ESPN as soon as we are done here. You can catch that game currently on ESPN News. Ducks jumped out to that early 1-0 lead before Oklahoma responded with 2 in the bottom of the first. Torrey Jennings happened in our last inning, a 2-run homer, her 21st of the season. 94th of her career. Lilio deep in the hole at second, and a spinning throw is accurate from Katie Flannery. And that's one way to do it.
Katie Flannery made this look easy. This took a hop on this last bounce. She's going back on it. Look at how she takes it and just puts a glove on it and makes a great throw as well.
That may have been the most awkward hop we've seen in any regional so far
this postseason. It looked like it was going to just take an easy hop, and all of a sudden took a quick turn on her.
Not sure Riley Boone has had a uneventful at bat so far this weekend. Every time she comes up, it seems like she's making something happen. Crowd responds with a chorus of boos, not boos. Coach Gasso reminded us of that. She said, they're not booing Riley. And we're like, we know, Coach. We got you. So just making sure.
I love it, too, when she gets on base and they do it again, and she just eats it up, and she welcomes the crowd. And how great is it, by the way, to have a number 9 hitter batting .420?
Yeah, we mentioned that earlier. A luxury. You don't get a moment to take a deep breath against this lineup. And
yeah. I think sometimes as a pitcher, you get down to that 7, 8, 9, you can take sometimes a deep breath and say, okay, you can just go and attack the bottom of the lineup. Not here.
Back to the circle, stabbed by Spencer, 2 away. And that was in one movement. The glove just swooped down, grabbed the ball over to first before you know it.
Yeah, a little bit of a reaction, but much better inning here for Spencer, attacking the zone a little bit better when she got in the 5th, throwing a few more balls than maybe she needed to, looking to settle down a little bit more here, attacking the zone.
Coleman slaps it to left field. Inning continues.
And as patient as this team is, they first pitch swing when they see the pitch they like. Jada Coleman does that here. Strike on the outside corner. She just sends it oppo. Gets herself on. OU looking to start a 2-out rally here as the top of the lineups comes back up.
Coleman, his way to Maya Bland. Pinch runner. Sooners would love to add one more run to the tally. The Ducks down potentially to their final 3 outs. Parker's 1 for 3. Infield single over to first in the 5th inning. Later came around to score on the Jennings homer. You and I spoke early in the week after learning about our assignment here in Norman, and the first things that you mentioned to me, Ella Parker, freshman phenom. You can sense her confidence growing after the Big 12 tournament. Her ability to stay calm under pressure, It's 700 a championship run.
And she told us too that her favorite line is play with nothing to lose and everything to gain, and that was her response when I asked her, how did you earn a spot in a lineup that's so difficult to break into and not feel stressed about having to maintain that? I keep it simple, and I play with nothing to lose and everything to gain. And again, maturity beyond her years, and it's kept her in this lineup and kept her as one of kind of the more successful hitters, which is hard to say in a lineup that's this good.
Hitting .411. 3-2, crushed, right center field and gone.
You were almost expecting Ella Parker to eventually hit one out. Every at-bat has gotten better for Ella Parker this game. She saw this pitch, she connected, beautiful extension. She got her barrel on the ball and sent it out of the park. The fan that caught that ball, the happiest one in the park right now. Puts two more on the board.
Down to the dugout for a second. The crowd was chanting her first name over and over, and for good reason. Her 12th home run of the season. RBIs 56 and 57.
And just does not make the moment too big. And again, her at-bats tell the story. First inning, she strikes out. Third inning, she pops it out in the outfield. Fifth inning, she gets a hit. Sixth inning, she hits it out of the park. She makes adjustments every at-bat, and every at-bat has had a better result. To me, so outstanding to be able to see how she's been able to do that from at-bat to at-bat. And she's just a freshman. I love it. I love it. I'm such a fan of hers.
6-1 OU. Stevie Hansen in the circle for Oregon.
I think you had to make a change. I think that there was a lot that Spencer was throwing. She found a way to get some outs, but there was no doubt these last couple batters between Coleman and Parker were really finding a way to hit the strikes, and Spencer was throwing some balls that they weren't looking to attack. If you're not throwing balls out of the zone that you're getting some weaker hits, and you're throwing strikes in the zone that they're hitting hard, you've got to make that change. Hansen goes in. Again, pitching staff that is used here for the Ducks. Hansen throws east, west, and up. She's going to go up in the zone. Good chase rate on her rise ball. But to that point, you're going to throw a rise ball to this OU team, especially a team that has seen pitches kind of on the upper third part of the zone so far today. You've got to be careful to make sure that it gets up in that zone and moves.
Does not get any easier. Tiare Jennings, 21 home runs this season, 2 extra base hits so far today. And speaking of extra bases, you know, the top of the order has provided all the power this afternoon in Norman. This game almost a carbon copy of what went down last night against Cleveland State. Tight contest about halfway home. The Sooners find a different gear. How about Omaha and the damage Mavericks are doing? The Columbia Regional, a couple of wins already. This one, 2 hops to Bird at third. Ella Parker, the freshman phenom,
She just sends it out of the park. A no-doubter. Put another 2 on the board for Oklahoma.
Geico can help cover cars, homes, motorcycles, and even accordions.
Pretty liberating knowing Geico.
And a body that doesn't look like it eats hot dogs. Sadly, we can't have it all. Except at Sport Clips, where we check in with the pros in men's hair and totally check out with pure, uninterrupted relaxation. Sport Clips.
Just your normal box score back here at Loves Field until you start to pull away. Oklahoma leading Oregon 6-1. And guess what? The scoreboard shaped in the great state of Oklahoma. Thought that was a really nice touch.
Just your normal box score, not your normal scoreboard.
Don't forget UCLA, Virginia Tech coming up as soon as we are done here. And that score currently 3-0. The Hokies in Westwood. The early advantage against the national seed Bruins. Elimination game later today between San Diego State and Grand Canyon. Can't wait to send you out to Westwood. Courtney Lyle, Danielle Laurie on the call for that one. Game currently over on ESPN News. 3, 4, and 5 due up for Oregon. Kauf, Wong, and Flannery. And the new pitcher in the circle as well for the Sooners. Kelly Maxwell's afternoon comes to a close. And the second time that we have seen Carly Keeney this weekend.
Keeney shut it down yesterday. Finished the last inning yesterday as well. Finds a way to be a closer in this OU lineup. Just a 1.38 ERA. He started 4 games during this season, but has kind of developed a closer role. She really just has some higher speed. Throw in the high 60s. Really good screwball. Good movement to a lefty. So for somebody like Kauf right here, you've got to be careful with that outside movement.
Kauf gives this one a ride down the right field line and gone. Here come the Ducks. 4th of the season for Emma Kauf. And the second hit against the Sooners today for Oregon.
When Kauf waits for a pitch that comes over the plate. Keeney had been throwing outside. She brings this one further in, and Kauf just takes it for a ride. On the inside part of the plate, she turns on it, sends it to the right side of the field, puts another one on the board.
First hit for the Ducks since back in the first inning. That was off the bat of Ariel Carlson. Also a solo shot. Here's Val Wong. Swipes it this one down the left field line. Wong digs for second. Well, how big was that homer by Ella Parker moments ago? Gave the Sooners a little extra insurance.
Well, from an adrenaline perspective, Oregon should be feeling this because, and Oklahoma's got to be careful because Oregon can hit. And Kelly Maxwell was dealing. And so just because Kelly Maxwell was dealing doesn't mean that Oregon can't hit. And I think that you have to be careful because I don't necessarily feel like they feel beaten in this game. And it's only a 4-run deficit at this point. And it can kind of get away from OU pretty quickly here if they put a couple bats on the ball. So if you're Keeney, you can't just walk into this game and expect for it just to be an easy couple 3 outs. You really got to go and expect that this is going to be a hard team to get some outs on.
Reagan Legg comes in as a pinch runner. Flannery up to bat. And now Sooners will slow this down for a minute. You can feel momentum changing sides, even if only for an instant in the top of the 7th. How many times have we seen an inning late carries over to the game, perhaps later today or even into tomorrow? We'll see.
100%. And this is, mean, I get it. It's the 7th inning, and it's a 3 outs that you have to get, and you've got a comfortable lead, but the game isn't over. And this is regionals, and this is the postseason, and these are teams that want wins. And this win matters, because if you get a loss here right now, you now have to fight from the elimination bracket. When you do that, you have to now play another game tonight. You have to win 2 tomorrow. There's a lot more games that have to be played. So to fight and really put everything into it now, it matters. Gotta believe you can't count the Ducks out right now.
6-2, nobody out in the 7th. Ball and a strike to Katie Flannery. Rally Ducks are out. Up the middle, and another base hit. Runner will be waved home. Leg will score to make it 6-3. Flannery, the RBI single.
Patty Gasso coming out, looking to make a change already, and I expect this already. These 3 hard hits in a row, another one here from Flannery that just drives this right past Jennings at shortstop, and you can see it almost gets past Boone out there in left field.
And guess who's back?
Yeah, I'd put Maxwell back out there too. I mean, at this point, again, this is a good Oregon hitting team, and you've got to credit what Maxwell did. She was on fire. She shut them down. It was the pitches that Maxwell threw that kept Oregon at bay. It was not because Oregon was not a good hitting team. And I think there's a difference in those two statements.
Now the Ducks get another base runner. All of a sudden you're talking about tying run coming up to bat. What seemed inconceivable just 5 minutes ago. You agree 100% with the decision to bring back Kelly Maxwell. Already her 4th game this season with at least 7 strikeouts and no walks allowed. And boy, she had the arsenal working early.
Yeah, before she left this game, struck out the last 5 batters. So when I say she's feeling it, she was feeling it. She was the most herself in those last 5 batters, moving her pitches well. She was using multiple, has not walked a batter. 6 innings pitched. The only hit she gave up, the home run to Ariel Carlson, inning 1. I like the idea of a closer, but sometimes in softball, maybe this is coming from a pitcher, but sometimes in softball, I just like to see pitchers finish their own game, especially somebody who's dealing like Maxwell. I just like the idea of letting them finish their game. Let them close it. Let them be solid.
Mentally, is it easy to come back in after you thought your day was done? That seems to me like that could be a hurdle potentially at times.
As a leader, you should be in it still. I mean, arguably, you're kind of warmed down a little bit, so you kind of have to get back into it. You have to imagine that Maxwell probably didn't have a lot of pitches to warm back up. So it's kind of like having a little bit of an extra long break or kind of a longer offensive inning.
And that would be a good way to approach it mentally. Nothing in 2. Maxwell hasn't missed a beat yet.
My guess is that there was probably a little bit of a conversation amongst the coaching staff or Patty Gasso and Maxwell to be mentally ready in case something happened that she needed to go back in.
Hopped up foul, straight back. 1 row deep, right past the netting. Oregon, 6 through 9 hitters so far today without a hit. The offense has sprung to life so far in the 7th with 3 hits after securing just 1 first 6 innings.
Well, the Ducks have not gotten a runner in scoring position off of Maxwell. They did against Keeney, but they have not against Maxwell. And so that first step here in the 7th inning, you want to start getting runners on and getting them in scoring position.
Nice ball out of the zone, and Daniel did everything she could not pull the swing on it. Daniel strikes out. Huge strikeout for Kelly Maxwell in this game.
And she got Daniel the last at bat too on the same pitch, just an off speed low in the zone. Daniel was unable to identify at the last at bat. Same there. Those are the things that you remember. Kind of log them in your mind and just go at them. You look to attack batters. We're now hitting the bottom of that lineup where Maxwell was able to log those Ks. Those last 5 batters that she was able to get strikeouts before she was out of the game. Was this part of the lineup?
Well, we just mentioned Oregon 6 through 9 hitters without a hit today. It was the 5 through 9 hitters yesterday that recorded 6 knocks. That run rule victory against BU. Coach Lombardi looking on, the former OU assistant, 21 years, 2 years as a player on top of that. Back home, as she called it.
Humphreys didn't run right away on that play, but that ball was not called foul immediately.
It spun around near the line. When that pitch sounded different, to smack the glove of Hansen.
And I think you can tell even just by the swing throughs, I mean, how much more these batters are missing the ball here later in the game. And that's a good sign of more movement. When you looked earlier in this game on some of the swing throughs that the Ducks had, or even like the ground outs, they weren't missing by much. They were fouling off more pitches. That's a sign that maybe the ball isn't moving as much. They're able to kind of get more a piece of it. Now they're missing the ball by a lot more space.
100th pitch of the game for Maxwell. Right back to the circle. Could be 2. That'll do it. Oregon's comeback falls short of the mark. And before we go anywhere, we will take a look at that last sequence.
On the field was an out at first base. Oregon is challenging that ruling. The previous play is under further review.
Well, and I think to end the game, I mean, you've got to review it. You got to take one more look, because if not, the game's over. So review it, take a look, make sure the call is correct. But a good play here. This ball was hit hard back to Maxwell. She makes a good play there and a good play there. It's a close play at first base. I think that is an out. I don't think that's enough to overturn. It looked to me like it was a good stretch from Sanders at first base. Good squeeze.
It is close.
It's about as close as you can get. I think the squeeze is there.
What a great shot.
I think it's a great shot.
It'd be hard to overturn that call.
I think it would be hard to overturn. I think if she were called safe, it might have stood. But she was called out. We'll see what they come back with.
After review, the ruling is upheld. The runner is out. That's the ball game.
Upheld.
6-3, our final score. Oklahoma advances to the regional final tomorrow, and their 12th consecutive win, the regional rounds.
What a battle between these two teams. It was kind of everything you would hope it would be.